some plans. Too faded, no Zans. Thought I had nothing, but I got the fan. Ain't motivated, but I got some fans. No money, but I got some plans. Too faded, no Zans. Thought I had nothing, but I got the fan. Ain't motivated, but I got some fans. No money, but I got some plans. Too faded, no Zans. Thought I had nothing, but I got the fan. Ain't motivated, but I got some fans. No money, but I got some plans. Too faded, no Zans.
I like this white girl with the big booty, so I wiped her up. Don't call her Judy. Then I flicked her, call me Doug Flutie. Got all the riches, that's my royal duty. So blessed it just came to me. Pally gang, we don't
What's going on, fam? Episode 868 is under Swole. Come on in. What up, beaches? Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment. Say what up. Say what up so I can throw you up on the big old board here. Yeah, the Swole guy is me. That's your boy, Papa Swole. That's me. Everyone getting those alerts? Come. Let me send out a message.
Just water, no pollution. Caught a case, retribution. Hella problems, no solution.
Send out a quick old message here.
We were so close, just like Jazzy and Prince. I am someone that you will not convince. That
Get everyone.
Come against me in the title, I'll clinch. You're an idea, nigga, I am the wrench. How you gonna win if you sit in the bench? Heads in the clouds, but the work in the trench.
I had nothing, but I got the fan. Ain't motivated, but I got some fans. No money, but I got some plans. Too faded, no Zans. Thought I had nothing, but I got the fan. Ain't motivated, but I got some fans. No money, but I got some plans. Too faded, no Zans.
Why fight, nigga, meet me backstage. Why cry, nigga, just act your age. Lie, sinner, go and get saved. Brown, nigga, king of LA. I am just stuck in my
What's
ways.
good, fam? Let's see. Ava, Dennis, what up? What up, Papa? What up, Billy, Cornelius, Mary, Adam, hello. So everyone's getting their messages. Daily Swole Club peeps. Picking that up.
Wardrobe staying black lately. Copped a bootleg from Saint Vintage. 716, I'm from Buffalo. 6 feet under, I'm talking hella snow. I'm talking hella cold. Mafia, no Capone.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi. It's Daddy Swolio. It's Papa Swolio. Papa Swolio's here.
Kneel down like I'm Killmonger. You can bury me with my ancestors. 17, she was 21, was a little kid, but I impress her. Love that girl to my upper 90s like I'm starting forward for Manchester.
Thought I had nothing, but I got the fan.
What up, beaches? We's live everywhere. Everyone's coming in. Let's get the party started. Shall we? Shall we dance? If it's your first Daily Swole, make sure you come say hello. Say a hello. Hello, Papa Sworio. Hello, Papa Sworio.
The birds are chirping. The bacon is sizzling.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Oh, yeah. Testing. Test. Testing, testicles. Welcome, everyone, to episode 868 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beardcast, broadcast, gangcast, mancast, pimpcast, and sleazecast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our biceps. We are live. On the Facebook. Hello, Facebook. We're live on Instagram and, of course, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, everywhere else because Papa Swolio is in the Swole Casa. So we're doing the mass broadcast everywhere. So make sure you drop some hearts, drop some biceps and some gorillas wherever you're watching from. Make sure you say hello. We got some good shit going on for today. Just dropped a new, not new, but just dropped another, a throwback episode, Flashback Friday, whatever you want to call it, but dropped one on Instagram about measuring progress. And I decided today's a perfect day for a Fuck Your Scale episode. Going to talk about measuring your success in the gym, measuring your success and measuring your progress in your training and how to look at your training maybe a little bit differently than you have been, or differently than what you are being programmed to think in terms of the media. When I say media, I mean Instagram, I mean science, I mean all these different methodologies to measure objectively life, and fundamentally why that could be an incorrect approach, or at least something that skews our view of how far we've come or where we're trying to go or what's most important to us as individuals. Girl, watch this. Yeah, watch Papa Swole drop some fucking knowledge cock across chins. Slappy, slappy, slappy. As long as it's not post-workout, so you get that wet knowledge dick, but it's pre-workout now. It's pre-workout now. Still drinking my coffee, so get your coffee. Get it ready. Welcome. Family stuff has been shitting on your diet. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Things are getting in the way of your food. Take responsibility. Get back on it. Look, it's all about personal responsibility and knowing that it's your fault whether you stay on or you fall off your diet. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It doesn't mean you're always going to be on your diet. It doesn't mean you're not going to fuck up, but you got to get back on and not think really twice about it, because what are your alternatives? What's your alternative to just fucking still just keep being a bitch and keep on shoveling fast food into your mouth? No. It's time to step up, and then you have to get your shit together, right? Personal responsibility to make a difference, personal responsibility to make the change that only you can make, right? No one can feed you. You got to do it yourself. And I still come back to nutrition being the easiest part of everything. The food is the easiest part. It's not glamorous. I mean, nothing that's hard work, that's repetitious is glamorous, really. It's the same stuff. It's going to get boring. And that's where a lot of people fall off, right? That's where a lot of people fall off in terms of they're making progress when they get started. They get really excited. It's really easy. It's easy to get excited because that's that quote motivation. That's that emotion. You just kind of get like, you get excited to change. You know, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start eating healthy. And then after 2 days, that initial excitement falls off because it becomes the same shit all the time. It just becomes the mundane. It loses that initial excitement. That's why New Year's resolutions fall off and usually on a grand scale catastrophically fail every year, because you get that initial Happy New Year. Yeah, I'm going to change this. It's 2019. The numbers on the month and the day are so low. It's 1. It's a 1. It's not a 2. It's not February. It's not a 12 anymore. It's a 1. So now it's January. Now I can make change. That goes away. You don't hear people talking about New Year's resolutions in March. You don't hear people talking about New Year's resolutions in April. Even February, you don't say Happy New Year anymore, right? You're on to the next holiday. You're on to the next bullshit thing that they're trying to sell you with. So that's not really a good thing to hang your hat on. Another thing that could be a problem with hanging your hat on is the measurements that your scale is telling you. How many of you actually weigh yourself on a scale? I haven't weighed myself on a scale in months. I think I did it like a couple months ago just for fun, but it was after a workout in the evening. It wasn't accurate at all, but I just haven't even stepped on a scale in that long. And that's always been the classic way to measure progress, with weight gain or weight loss. You know, of course, considering like a scale tells you absolutely dick shit about what's actually going on with your body. Just because a scale says a higher number or a lower number doesn't mean you're seeing any progress. All right. A bigger number doesn't mean you're putting on muscle, and a lower number doesn't mean you're burning fat. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not burning fat. It doesn't mean you're not burning fat. It just means that you could be losing muscle. It means you could be losing water. And anyone that is hanging their hat on a scale is just fundamentally setting themselves up for failure. And even more so than that, I don't even want to talk about necessarily how inaccurate a scale is, because that should be more or less common sense. We don't have to really break that down too much. I mean, it doesn't explain what your body is made up of. It doesn't explain what is going on inside in terms of a composition. That's why people like to do body fat measurements. But even those things like body fat measurements, why do you measure? Or why would you measure? Why would you measure something that isn't fulfilling? And we base so many things off in our society on numbers, having more money, being a certain body weight, a certain body fat percentage. Think about all the things that we deal with that have some kind of objective, measurable quality, whether it's size, whether it's length, whether it's quantity. It's either more is better, less is better, and it's always something objective that you can measure. However, progress with fitness and life and success isn't measured by a number. You can't measure it by a number, because if you measure it by a number, you'll never be fulfilled, because there's always going to be someone with a bigger number. There's always going to be someone with a lower number, whatever a good or bad, quantitative value is, depending on what you're measuring, right? Sometimes less is better, sometimes more is better. And so there's always going to be something, either someone that has more or less, or there will be a more or less that you could get to. So even if you're comparing yourself versus yourself rather than other people, which is what you should be doing on a fundamental level, not worrying about what other people are doing or what they have, but what you have. If you lose 10 pounds, where do you go from there? Are you super excited? I lost my 10 pounds. Well, now what? You still have 60 years of life left. How is that 10 pounds of weight loss that was your big goal? I wanted to lose 10 pounds. Okay. Guarantee you're probably not happy with your physique or something. There's something else you want to lose. You're not happy with how your arms look or your butt looks or your abs look. It's just, where does it go from there? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you're going by a number, 10 pounds doesn't mean you look good. It doesn't mean you look bad either. It's just not a measurement. It's just an arbitrary number. It's how hard the earth is pulling you into the fucking core. It doesn't tell you whether or not you're a good person. It doesn't tell you whether you have dreams and ambitions. It doesn't tell you whether you're a good communicator and you have a great relationship with your spouse, with your friends, with your children, with your parents, whatever it is. It doesn't give you any kind of measurement of your success as from a health standpoint. It might point you in the right direction if you're at a decent, let's say, body fat range or a weight range. You could limit your risk, according to all our research, for diseases, for illnesses, things that are preventable. But it's not always crystal clear, because there's a lot of other factors when it comes to diabetes and issues and things like that. It's just one of those things that the scale got really popular, I guess, in the 80s and 90s, and it still is today. We still step on a scale. You go to the doctor, they weigh you as if it fucking means anything. What you should be doing when you go to a doctor is getting a DEXA scan. You should be getting a composition. You should be really getting health coaching rather than just prescription maintenance or prescription. They just want to write you a script, get you out the door. And that's the fundamental issue with the healthcare system. We don't have to go too far down that road. It's a mess. It's not geared towards getting you well. It's geared towards selling you some kind of a product. It's really marketing. The medical industry is just marketing. They're marketing drugs. You get pharmaceutical reps that market their drugs to doctors, and doctors write them, and then everyone gets a kickback. Everyone gets paid, right? The more people they see, the more people they write prescriptions to, the more money they make, the more money everyone makes. And but the person that loses is us, are the people that are being scammed or under this illusion that this is health, that I'm going to be healthier if I take these pills. I'm going to be healthier if I do this. It's not true. It's not true. If you take a very unhealthy person or an average person that doesn't train, you might want to do, you might want to, for example, do a BMI, right? It takes your height and your weight and gives you an approximate, oh, you're obese or you're in a good weight range. It doesn't mean anything for someone who's exercising. More muscle mass is going to weigh more. So according to BMI, I'm obese. I'm overweight. And that's not true. I'm not overweight. I'm not obese. But that's what BMI does. It only takes a very narrow view and glimpse and measurement of what I am as a person, of course. And a BMI says nothing about my personality, other aspects of my mental wellness. It just takes height and weight. But we take these measurements classically, and we still do. It's just very ingrained in our existence because everyone that's watching is 20, 30, 40 years old, and we grew up before the internet, and we grew up before all these fundamental things are being exposed more, because you have a lot of alternative media that are giving information that's not just a narrow focus. We're getting rid of a lot of the bullshit. And the reason why so much information seems to be out there, this information was always out there, it just wasn't promoted because you could control the flow of information before the internet. Now it's ubiquitous and everyone can instantly access information. Now that just seems like there's a lot. There always was. There was always this. It just wasn't in your face all at the same time. So it seems like it's very complicated, but it's not. The same stuff is still there. The same stuff that has worked before still works. You just have a lot more advertising, right? You have a lot more supplements that are being pushed in your face, a lot more different these nutrition diets that are pushed in your face. You have a lot more of these different, gimmicks that are pushed in your face just because you're seeing them now. Before, snake oil salesmen, you had to go to a location and actually put up a stand and sell you something. Now they can just put it in an ad and you can see it on your phone all the time. You're seeing everyone's information. And it could be overloading, and then you get confused and it feels like, oh my God, there's so much stuff. What do I believe? The same shit that's always worked. You just have to get rid of and just like cut the bullshit off the top. It's like cutting off the fat. Well, you don't necessarily want to cut off the fat of a delicious steak, but we got to get rid of the garbage that's coming along with the good information. So with the good comes the bad, and you get everything. You can't have it both ways. Either you have no information and you're lied to and you're controlled, or you have tons of information. You have the freedom to pick things and to navigate yourself. My proposal to you is using this title, this episode, Fuck Your Scale. It's not just about the scale. It's about, it's about your body weight. It's about your body fat percentage. It's about how much you lift. It's about all these different things, your measurements. It's about all that. Okay. And I go hard on the obesity acceptance movement, but I don't hate people that are overweight. I don't lack sympathy for people that are overweight. People that are overweight and are obese are trying really hard. That's fine. I just want people to take personal responsibility for where they are and not accept it based on just social cues, because we can get away with that shit now, right? You can find people to cry on their shoulder. That's not what we should be doing. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to look the same way. It doesn't mean there has to be this one standard of, quote, beauty, but that's where the victim culture comes into, and that's where they're going to point a finger like, you just think that thin people are beautiful. That's not true. That's not true. Beauty is subjective. However, health is not subjective. There are things that will keep people that are unanimously understood to be healthier body weight. It's not healthy to be extremely obese, but at the same time, just because you're obese doesn't mean you can just diet and train hard and lose all that weight. Everyone's different. Everyone's created their own damage to their bodies. And, that's why no one looks the same no matter what. We're all different. So understanding how you're measuring your progress is a big deal. Understanding what these things actually do measure is a big deal. I just don't think that micromanaging your results, I think that's a good way to explain it. Having a scale weight, having a body fat percentage, it's micromanaging your results. And it's putting your progress in a box. You're depending your success based on a number. If your body fat shows one number lower or 0.5% lower, or, you drop 5 pounds. Like if your excitement or your passion for life or your goals and your discipline and your consistency is resting on that number turning out properly, you're going to be very disappointed, and your chances are you're going to fall off the wagon, so to speak, because those things go up and down like the stock market. Even if you're trying to lose weight and you're 100 or 200 pounds overweight, you're going to gain some weight at some point. You're going to gain 5 pounds. Are you going to get instantly discouraged and then quit? Well, then you're never going to see that the fact if you kept going, you would have lost 10 more pounds in the next 2 months. So you're never going to have a smooth sailing stock market line. It's not linear. It's going to be up, down, crash. You're going to have these, yo-yo type experiences, but it's the overall execution over the long term that's going to get you the most results. I just don't like weighing. I don't like body fat percentages. I just don't think that really, for what we are trying to accomplish as a community and overall as a society, it doesn't matter. When someone's healthy, you look at someone, oh, they're 16% body fat. That's not good. They have to be 14. That does not make someone healthier. Being 2% body fat less does not make you healthier. Being 2% body fat more doesn't necessarily make you less healthy. It just means that relative to your body mass, you have 2%, of what of you total exists. You have 2% of your mass more that is fat. Okay. Well, that doesn't mean that you're a good person, a bad person. It doesn't mean you're having success or not having success. It's just, that is what it is. So you can't determine on that kind of like, there's so many factors and variables. You can't just say, oh, you're lower body fat, you're healthier. You might see more muscle definition, but also doesn't mean you're a healthier person. We know that because if you look at bodybuilders on stage and they're 4% body fat and they're taking a lot of chemicals, anabolics and all these artificial things. And it's very unhealthy to be that extremely lean. Okay. That's for a competition. That's not for health. And then when you start bleeding over and start calling fitness health and fitness, and you group that in there, you get distracted from what actually health and fitness is. And it becomes these bodybuilding competitions and physiques and magazine covers and supplements. And that's not what health is. So I just challenge you to think about how you're measuring your own personal progress. How are you measuring your own personal progress? I mean, I'm actually curious too. So in the comments now, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching, drop in the comments now. What do you do personally? What do you do? How do you approach your fitness? Like, what do you do to determine whether or not you are, I guess, making progress? Are you doing better? Are you trying to get to a lower body fat percentage? Are you paying attention to those numbers? Are you trying to gain strength? Are you trying to gain? Like, what are you measuring? Are you currently measuring anything? Are you tracking something? Do you have a goal that's objective based, that's number based? Like I'm trying to lose 10 pounds. And then it comes the question, why? If you come in here and you're like, I'm trying to lose 50 pounds. Okay, why? And not the kind of why where it's, why are you trying to lose weight? I get it. I mean, I think we all understand why you're trying to lose weight, but why 50? Why is that number? That's what I'm trying to get to, because people usually pick these random numbers for growth, random numbers for weight loss, random numbers for body fat percentage. They pick something because that's what they saw somewhere. They heard this somewhere, some celebrity, some fitness model. They have to lose weight. 50 is a round number, 25. Notice how no one says, I want to lose 37 pounds. I want to lose 21 pounds. I'm ready to lose 14 pounds. No, people say, I want to lose 10 pounds, 15, 20, 25, 50. It's always a flat number, which means it's just complete bullshit, arbitrary crap. You're just picking a number that's round, that sounds good, and usually it's excessive. Usually it's very, very drastic. I had an email from someone who was looking to, really get back into training, get back on her pony. I think she has children, this, that, and the other, and she wants to get back to where she's going. So she's starting small and she wants to put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. And I told her, I was like, you do realize that 10 to 15 pounds is a massive amount of muscle gain, especially for a female. 10 to 15 pounds, like that could almost be potentially unrealistic. Like you realize that's a shitload of muscle mass. I said, I'm just putting it out there. You do realize that's a ridiculous, it sounds like not that much, right? The number 10 isn't that much. You have $10, you're not rich. Oh, $15. Like we don't equate that with, whoa, a big number. It's 10, it's 15. So you say 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. Holy shit. You do realize that could be a year of training, maybe even longer. Like it's a long time. It's a long time. It's a lot of work to put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, lean muscle. So we underestimate these numbers sometimes because in itself, the number 10 or 15 is small. But when you say 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, that's a huge difference. That's a huge, 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 huge number for muscle growth. That's a big number. So just keep that in mind. 10 more of some things aren't, it's $10 is not the same as 10 pounds of muscle, right? The value of that number 10 is a big difference, but we forget that sometimes, or we're just unaware. Most of you don't have science backgrounds or anatomy backgrounds or exercise physiology backgrounds. That's why I'm here talking about this stuff. This is where I'm staying in my lane. This is what I know. This is what I have experience with. So I'm sharing this with you, and it's just different. It's very different than golf, basketball, baseball. The numbers are different. It's all different depending on what sport, right? If you have 3 points, for example, in baseball, teams score 3 runs all the fucking time. You have 3 or 4 goals in soccer. That's a lot of goals for a soccer game. 4 goals. That's not the average, right? If you have 7, that might be low for a football game. That's, no one in basketball has 7 points at the end. No team has 7 points at the end of a freaking game. 7 runs in baseball. Okay. I mean, that's a higher scoring game, and then soccer, it's more unheard of. It's very rare where a team scores 7 goals. So it's just the same number is a different value, or it means different things. Same thing with muscle growth. You're going to have it's a whole different ball game when you talk about gaining 10 pounds of muscle versus losing 10 pounds of fat. That's a huge difference. Daniel, I just want to be healthier, more muscular. I don't have a specific weight or body fat percentage. And that doesn't mean that you don't. And that also doesn't mean, everyone, that having a body fat percentage goal is bad for you. I just want to make it a point that it doesn't necessarily work for everyone. Some people can be really inspired and really disciplined and consistent and aiming for that body fat percentage. And whether they hit it or not, like that, their mindset just works for that. Okay. But it's not, getting there doesn't necessarily make you healthier. You tend to cut corners when you're trying to go for a number. You're more likely to go for that fat burner or that shortcut or do this extreme diet or really cut down on water and do like a fast and try to get to that percentage. You're more likely to cut corners, and I don't want to say cheat, but you're more likely to lean away from actual health when you're trying to go for a number, in my experience, rather than if you're trying to pursue the healthiest thing for your body, and then as a result, your body shifts and loses weight or extra body fat, builds muscle, and kind of finds and settles in itself. That's a little bit more realistic, or a better approach. If I don't feel bloated, I have no headaches or joint pain, I'm not tired all day, that's when I'm doing good. I'm naturally skinny, and 10 years ago, I was considered normal weight, but I felt like shit. Now I have lost weight, but I feel much better than when I was a teenager. That's how I gauge my health. I agree. You should go by how you feel for sure. Your body is definitely telling you things. Wolf is me on Periscope. Scale is not truly relevant, I believe. Just look in the mirror. That's okay. Looking in the mirror all the time, you're used to seeing yourself. And depending on the mirror, depending on the lighting, you're going to perceive yourself differently from day to day. But that's for sure a logical way to perceive, I guess, your visual progress. But, if you're in a good mood or a bad mood, sometimes, that's going to affect your whole vision. So you might look in the mirror and you're just kind of in a low mood and you might be like, I look like crap. When you really look the same as you did yesterday, it's just your perception of how you look. It can get a little bit tricky. Congrats on the Browns winning their first game. I know you don't really care, but it's still funny. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to say I'm a closet Browns fan. It's just because my best friend is like a diehard Browns fan. So I just kind of, I keep an eye on the Browns a little bit, just because of him. Like I notice that, or I look, hey, I wonder if they won. Like when maybe there's a moment where I'm just bored, or it pops into my head. Yeah, I certainly don't care, but it's funny, right? Their first game in 635 days. Damn, God, they're fucking bad. I mean, they've been looking good this year from everything that I've seen, from the little effort and from the little I've put into watch, right? I mean, they've actually been playing well. New quarterback is looking good. Hey, it's all a matter of time, right? Bad teams, it all comes around. Dan Dumo on Instagram, feeling comfortable to be able to go on a run or train without my shirt on. I just want to feel comfortable in my own skin instead of feeling like I was in skin that barely fit. All right. Good for you. D Barrel, I measure it by how my clothes are fitting, but the best is when I happen to see a reflection and it's like, damn, look at that tricep. I just catch those horseshoes in the mirror. Walking by, you're like, oh shit, I see you. Myron the Gains, I see you. Eric, they celebrated like they had won the Super Bowl. Well, to break a streak like that, I mean, it's almost like you break the ice. Now it opens the floodgates. You have to win one before you can win two, right? So, and that's another thing when you're losing weight. Don't worry about 10 pounds. You got to lose 1 before you lose 5. You got to lose 5 before you lose 6. And you got to lose 9 before you lose 10. So it's every pound counts. And, having these numbers hanging over your head, it goes back to the topic of this episode. Having these numbers hanging over your head can absolutely distract you from what you have to do today to get there. You're trying to lose 100 pounds every time you go to the gym. You're going to be discouraged every fucking day. It's not going to be very exciting. But if you're putting your head down and focusing on doing everything you need to do to lose 1 pound this week, look, if you focus and you lose 1 pound every week, you're going to lose 100 pounds. Guaranteed. If you lose a pound every week, maybe some weeks you lose half a pound, maybe some weeks you lose 2 pounds. If you lose 1 pound a week, you will lose 100 pounds. It just takes time. Then you have to be patient. You have to work hard every day and then just let time go and it will happen. You want to gain weight. Well, you still got to do the same type of thing. You got to train, you got to eat big, you got to do all stuff, and then you'll incrementally grow. It just takes time. It takes time to build, right? Just think about the demolition of a building rather than creating one. When you demo something, boom, just detonate it, boom, it drops, and then you just clear out the rubble. When you're trying to build something, it takes a lot of planning, the foundation, you got to build it, you got to furnish it, you got to, all those things that go into building any kind of building. What time is it in America? About 2:50 on the East Coast, which is where I am. So 2:50, just before 3 o'clock. Time to make those Friday afternoon gains. I actually didn't end up working out yesterday. I couldn't go to the gym yesterday. Couldn't. I had to prioritize some other things. I had to. I wanted to go, but then I looked and I had to get some things completed, and it was a trade-off because if I went to the gym, it would just take a lot of time and some things had to get done, and now I can freely go to the gym and focus on the workout that I would have done yesterday and crush it today. So that was not the kind of sacrifice that I wanted to make, but at the moment it was the call that had to be made. So that was tough. I wanted to work out. I felt pretty good, but today it was the right decision because today I'm focused and I'm ready and I'm ready to crush. That was a good analogy. Browns finally winning versus weight loss. Yeah. I'm pretty good at pulling out those instant analogies really quickly. Is gaining a pound of muscle mass a month following a good muscle building program realistic? I believe so, from my experience. It's not going to necessarily be the same, but it's hard to measure that too. How do you measure whether or not you gained a pound of muscle accurately? That's a thing with weight, losing weight or gaining. When you're gaining, you're going to be putting on fat too. How do you know if that pound is muscle? Chances are it's going to be a smaller amount of muscle and more of fat or water. So it's very hard to gauge unless you're doing DEXA scans every month, which gets expensive and most people don't have direct or convenient access to one. So it's just if you're eating enough food and you're getting stronger and you're seeing it in the mirror, you're going to be putting on muscle. It makes sense. You're not going to gain strength by getting fatter. So if you're building in size and you're seeing the change in the mirror and you're gaining strength and you're eating more and you're keeping track of how many calories you're consuming and you're making sure you're getting in more and eating more when you're feeling full and you're keeping that number high and you keep on chasing like you're fishing, you're leading yourself forward, you're going to gain. That's how I did it. Made sure I was just because I was pushing myself. Eric on Instagram, Arnold says 7 pounds of muscle gain in a year is a huge accomplishment. It's huge. 7 pounds of muscle is massive. I think people think you're just going to gain 5, like, oh, I just gained 10 pounds in the past month. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You don't gain muscle that fast. Especially natural, 7 pounds of muscle in a year, that's a lot. In 5 years, that's 35 pounds of muscle. In 5 fucking years. You understand how much mass that is? Muscle, how much mass that is? 35 fucking pounds. If you did 7 pounds in a year, that's huge. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to build. And how you're measuring, how you're measuring makes a big difference. If you're following the scale and you're following the calipers and you're gauging your progress only by the number, you're going to be disappointed oftentimes. You're going to be disappointed a lot. And for many people, that's going to be a detriment. That's going to be something that disappoints you, that will maybe push you more or push them more towards quitting or falling off or getting less inspired to continue and to be consistent. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're not going to have a windfall all the time. Oh my goodness. So Flex Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. If you have any last moment questions, you could drop them below. But fuck your scale, fam. Fuck your scale on this Friday. If you're micromanaging your progress, if you're micromanaging your success, if you're weighing or your progress and your positivity with your training and your success with your training, if you're measuring that and you're micromanaging and micro-measuring that progress and everything is incremental, everything is objective, it's not going to end well. It's not something that's sustainable, right? It's not something that... Lay down. Yeah, lay down. It's not something sustainable. It's not something sustainable to always be chasing a number. It can get very, very discouraging very, very quickly. So quite important to step back and realize again what you're doing this for, what the best focal point is. And when you have that focal point with your health and you're approaching your training from that aspect, you're much better off in terms of making consistent progress because the number isn't going to skew your direction. If you're not going and basing your progress off the number, then when that number doesn't equal exactly what you want long term, it doesn't affect you because that is not what is determining your success. Okay? You're training for the right reasons. You're approaching your health with your nutrition and your fitness from the right direction. The number that results from that won't be holding you back or won't be the determining factor or the common denominator in your success or failure. It's just going to be an effect, and it's going to be something that will come along for the ride. And I promise you, if you're doing things for the right reason and you're approaching your fitness properly and you're focusing on the most important things like being consistent, changing your program properly, training with a good form, training hard, eating right, sleeping, hydrating, all those things, then the effect is going to be positive with those numbers. So enjoy your workout today. Make sure you plug in Swolenormous everywhere on social, and you'll be hearing a lot from me this weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy making those sick mucking gains. Thank you for joining me for episode 868 of the most muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gangcast, Mancast, and Pimpcast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. I will see everyone tomorrow for episode 869. Peace, McGee's fam. Deuce, Magoose. Papa Swolio. Oh, out.